Hi, welcome to Yoga with Heather. I'm Heather. This is Lindsay. Lindsay's going to be demonstrating for us today. We have a real treat for you. This is going to be Warrior Series supported with a chair. It's great for beginners. It's super great for intermediates too. It's going to help with balance for beginners. It's going to help with stability, balance, and alignment for everyone. So grab yourself a chair and a mat, and we'll see you back here.
Today we'll first take you through a warm-up, Surya Namaskar A. Then we'll move into our Virabhadrasana poses, our warrior poses, supported with the chair. So first will be Warrior 2. Then we'll move into Utthita Parsvakonasana, extended side angle. And then we'll move into Utthita Trikonasana, our triangle pose. Next will come Warrior 1, and then will come our pyramid pose, and then will come our Virabhadrasana 3, our Warrior 3 pose, all supported with the chair. And finally we'll move into Shavasana, our final resting pose.
To start off, we're going to take you through Surya Namaskar A. And we're going to do this a couple of times to warm up the body. So move the chair out of the way. Standing at the top of your mat in Tadasana, our mountain pose. Ground down through all 10 toes. Maybe lift up your toes. Stretch them wide, starting with your pinky. Try and lay your toes down one at a time. Really ground down through your big toe base, through your pinky base, and through your heel. Lift up your inner ankles, find strength in your arches, lift up your kneecaps, engage your quads, roll your shoulders up and down, and start breathing deep. So deep inhales, deep exhales, nice and slow. We've got a few more times. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your nose. Now inhale, reach your arms up. Follow with your gaze. Exhale, dive down. Come to your Utkatasana. Ground down through your hands. The object is to ground your hands right down. And if you're not quite there, that's fine. So tuck your chin to your chest. Inhale, lift to half, Ardha Uttanasana. Gaze comes to your mat or to the floor. Ground down again to Uttanasana. Ground down your hands, bend your knees, step back to your plank. Keeping your shoulders strong, gaze comes to your mat. Move to drop your knees, drop your shoelaces to the mat. Lift up here, come to full table. Moving into a few cat-cows here. When you're doing cow, drop your belly, lift your sit bones. Gaze comes up, inhale. Exhale, gaze comes to the belly. Sit bones down, round your back, shoulders strong. Really ground down through your hands, Lindsay. Spread your fingers apart. Good. A few more cat-cows. Inhale up, sit bones up, exhale down. Your drishti or gaze to your belly button. Inhale up, exhale down. Good. Come to a neutral position, gaze down at your mat. Walk your knees back a little bit. Lower your belly to prone. Grasshopper arms so your elbows are in. Lift up to your cobra and on an inhale. Exhale down. push back to your knees on an inhale. Tuck all 10 toes. Move to your Urdhva Mukha Shavasana, your downward dog. Good. Bend your toes, straighten your elbows, really spread your arms or your fingertips wide. Can you straighten your elbows there? Good. Okay. Slowly walk to the front of your mat. Coming to your Uttanasana again. Gaze comes to your belly, tuck your chin. Good. Fingertips touch the mat. Really sit your sit bone or stretch your sit bones up to the sky. Stretch your hamstrings. Lift to half, your Ardha Uttanasana. Ground down one more time. Inhale, come all the way up with a flat back. Good. Go through that 2 or 3 more times. Excellent. Okay, now we're going to move to our first standing pose, our Virabhadrasana 2, our Warrior 2, supported with the chair. So Lindsay's going to straddle the chair, putting her right foot over. Maybe we'll move the chair back a little bit. Good. Okay, bringing the chair edge to the back of her knee. Excellent. Toes pointed to the front of the mat. Back foot is parallel to the back of the mat, and back leg is strong. So engage that kneecap. Her hips here and her shoulders are parallel to the front of the chair, so shoulders stacked over hips. If your hips are really tight, this can be quite a hip opening pose. You want to gaze down and ensure your knee is in between the middle of your toes, not leaning in towards the big toe, not leaning out towards the pinky toe. If this is hard to do, you can actually put a block in between the chair and your thigh, or you can put a blanket in there too to tell your brain, tell that knee that it's supposed to stay open. We want to maintain 90 degrees or a 90-degree angle here, and keep the knee over the ankle. So really engage that foot, Lindsay. Lift your arches and ensure that your knee is in the middle of your toes. Look down, is your knee in the middle of your toes there? Excellent. Okay, so aligning your hips, aligning your shoulders. Then you want to get your strong Warrior 2 arms. So engage your hands, almost like I'm pulling your hand this way and someone's at the front pulling your hand the opposite way. And shoulders are down and keep them super strong. Turn your gaze, your drishti, over your front middle fingers. Excellent. So the tendency here is to drop this arm. You want to imagine it's parallel all the way from the front to the back. Good. The tendency when you're standing is to hinge forward a little bit here, like this. You want to keep your shoulders over your hips, right in the middle. That's excellent. From here, we're going to come into Utthita Parvakonasana, which is our side angle pose. So taking that front hand, that front arm, and bending it, putting your forearm on your knee. Excellent. And this hand can first come to the hip, and you can hinge over sideways like so, keeping your shoulders stacked, shoulders strong. You don't want to fall into that shoulder. And then eventually you can lift up that front arm. Gaze can come. Excellent. Can you push this shoulder back a little bit, back towards the wall? Excellent. Almost like you're imagining you're leaning up against the wall here. Good. Straighten that elbow. Really reach. Nice. Eventually in this pose, you could move your hand down to the front or the back. extended side angle. Excellent. Good, Lindsay. We'll try that on the other side without the chair. So opposite foot is facing forward. Back foot is parallel to the mat. Good, strong arms. Shoulders are over top of the hips, so come back a little bit. Nice. Where's your drishti? Where's your gaze? Excellent. Good. Can you move into Utthita Virabhadrasana? Your extended side angle. Good. Good. Okay, can you raise that arm up? Good. Maybe even you could turn it, your fingers to face the wall on this side. Can you reach for the wall on this side? The wall in front of you? Good. Turn this way. Nice. So we're imagining one line all the way up here. Good, Lindsay. Okay, and then eventually she can move to putting this hand on blocks or actually on the floor. Good. On an inhale, come on back up. Good. Now we're going to move into Utthita Trikonasana. So Lindsay is standing in a warrior two position with her glutes against the back of the chair and holding on to the back of the chair. So front toes are facing forward, back toes are parallel to the front and back of the mat, and she's going to hinge over to the right towards her pointed toes. Her gaze comes to the wall, chin stays neutral. Good. Okay, now in this pose, the object is to keep your shoulders and hips even. So putting her hips on the back of the chair help out a lot. You can also put them on the back of the wall, and imagining her shoulders are against the wall help out a lot. And holding on to that chair behind you keeps your chest open. So option here to bring one hand to your hip, extend the other hand down. Here we have triangle pose. Okay, so turn around, Lindsay. Let's show it from behind. Utthita Trikonasana on this side. So turn your hips so they touch the chair. So hips have to stay touching the chair, not letting your hip, this part of your hip pop out. So same thing, just hinge over to the side. Good. See how our hips are staying straight? Touching the chair really helps. Shoulders can come back and down. And same thing on this side. You can bring this hand to your hip, other hand onto the mat. You can maybe lift this hand up above. Perfect. Utthita Trikonasana. Okay, inhale, come out of the pose. Warrior one. So bring your chair to the front of the mat. Virabhadrasana 1. So in this pose, you're going to bring your right foot forward, toes are facing the mat, and your left foot is going to come behind, kind of angled towards the front of the mat. Take a big wide stance. Wider. Good. Okay, hips are even with the chair. This time, you're going to bend that front knee until it touches the chair. Good. Remembering that you want a 90-degree angle, your knee over your ankle. Hips come a little bit more forward. Good. Shoulders equal with the chair, and you can bring your hands to heart center or lift them up. Beautiful. Keeping that knee bent and knowing that it has to touch the chair. Excellent. Move your hips a little bit. Good. Gaze can even come up. Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Excellent. So you can move and try that on the other side as well. Okay, staying in this pose, we're going to get Lindsay to come to warrior 3. So starting off in warrior 1 position, legs are straight. We're going to grab both hands, grabbing the chair, hinging forward, bringing the chair forward, and your back foot forward a bit, coming up on your back toe. And lifting that back foot. Working to straighten your arms. Can you straighten your arms? And keep, good. Hips face your mat. Good. Can you move your right hip down to face the mat? Gaze. Good. You want to imagine one long line from your toes to your head. Excellent. So on an inhale, release your foot down to the mat and stand up. Okay, you can also do this pose with the chair in front of you, the wall behind. So taking a foot onto the wall for stability. You have to come forward a little bit. Foot onto the wall for stability. You can take the chair out in front of you and find stability for Virabhadrasana 1 in this pose. Excellent. Okay, one more pose to show you. Go back to warrior 1. This time she's going to have her feet straightened. And she's going to come into pyramid pose, Virabhadrasana, on this side. So both toes are facing forward. Hands can come to heart center. Lindsay's going to line up her hips with the chair, and she's going to hinge forward, maybe grabbing onto the chair, then releasing her gaze down to the mat, and maybe her hands come to the seat of the chair. She can even move hands down to the lower rung on the chair and tuck her chin to her chest. Virabhadrasana, pyramid pose. Excellent. Inhale, come up. And you can try that on the other side.
Alternate these poses on each side of your body. Do them as many times as you'd like. Make it an even number.
Now we're going to move Lindsay into final resting pose, Shavasana. This is where we can incorporate our practice from the day, incorporate all we've learned. We're going to do this supported with legs up on the chair. So you can add a blanket to the chair if needed, or 2 if needed. This is excellent for stress, legs up the wall you can even do, but excellent on the chair. So tuck your shoulders down, put your palms up, and just settle into your Shavasana. While Lindsay settles into her final resting pose, I'm going to tell you the story of the warrior, Virabhadrasana. Virabhadrasana is where we get Virabhadrasana. He was a fierce warrior. Shiva actually invoked his power and actually became Virabhadrasana in one situation. It all started when Shiva and Sati fell in love. Sati loved Shiva. But Shiva was a little bit wild, and Sati's father did not approve. Shiva was known to intoxicate himself with smoke and intoxicate himself with drink. He had wild hair, maybe dreadlocks if you can imagine, and he was known to meditate for days and days in the mountains. So Sati's father did not approve of Shiva. And Sati's father once had a grand party inviting everyone, but he totally excluded Sati and Shiva. Sati was so upset that she crashed the party. She crashed the party, and it said that she threw herself on the fire and burned up Others say that she was so angry that fire burned inside her body and she self-combusted. Either way, she died. Shiva could feel her death while he was up in the mountains meditating. And he was so anguished that he was walking around with his hands in his hair, not knowing what to do. And he ended up pulling his hair, pulling one of his dreadlocks out, and then throwing it on the ground, and the dreadlock turned into a snake. The snake slithered down the mountain and slithered into the party. Popped up in the middle of the party, reincarnated as Warrior 1. So here he is, Warrior 1. This is Virabhadrasana. Turned into Warrior 2 and cut off everyone's head, including Seti's father. He was so angry, picked up the head and put it on a stick. This is Warrior 3. So the end of the story is that everyone eventually was reincarnated and lived happily ever after. Namaste.